you have one? We'll start with you. Just a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, Art. I'm knocking him over. Movie screen. James Brown.
All right, go ahead, Ron.
Oh my God.
All right, we're done, thanks.
We got the press conference.
Obviously, you've seen a lot of great players. What makes Darren Peterson unique and what he brings to Kansas?
He is obviously he's gifted, but just his ability to be impactful and dominant on both ends of the floor. I mean, obviously he can score. He's a 4-level scorer, can shoot from 3, mid-range, get to the bucket, get fouled, get to the free throw line. I've also been impressed just from a defensive standpoint. You know, his ability to get steals and deflections, rebound the basketball, and so he's more than just a scorer. He's a complete basketball player, and obviously he's playing at an extremely high level with tremendous confidence.
Hubert, it's not often that a game like this gets played in November on a campus site. Just as someone who loves this university, loves this town, how excited are you for fans to get to see a game like this played here in the Smith Center as opposed to on the neutral court?
Yeah, I mean, it was significant for us to play at Kansas last year, and for them to come here early in the season, there's a lot of excitement, and there's also a lot of history between both of our programs, and so I think that adds to it and adds to the excitement, and I know they're fired up, and we're fired up as well.
Hubert, last year, your season high for assists was 24 in a game, and you had 23 in the first game the other day. Team's length is obvious when they show up on the floor, but how apparent has it been to you that this bunch with so many new players has gotten along and moved the ball so well early on?
Yeah, that's one of the many things that I was really encouraged about against Central Arkansas was just our ability to share the basketball. I felt, consistently we were passing up good shots to get great shots. I felt like in some instances we were even overpassing. I mentioned before when we all laughed about the double lob, and that's something that I had never seen before, but just instinctively, and this is something that we've talked about, is that just making the extra pass, move the ball, share the ball, and it was nice to see everybody do that this past Monday.
Hubert, you talked about the matchup last year at Kansas. Is there anything you can take away from that matchup? I know there are different players, completely different roster. Are there any things you can take away, maybe scheme or anything, as far as the way Kansas plays?
Not necessarily in terms of schemes, but I do remember we're up 4 with 3 minutes to go. And one of the things that we talk about as a team is discipline and details. The little things make big things happen, and down the stretch, you just got to be tight defensively, getting stops, rebounds. We didn't stop them down the stretch. We gave up an offensive rebound, and just execution on the offensive end, taking care of the basketball, getting the right shots by the right guys, and not that we would have won, but just a missed opportunity last year, down the stretch.
What were some of the things that you took away from Luka the other night, and also how he handled the whole situation? Luka.
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable for him to have been notified that he was clear to play right before the game, and for him to be able to play and to play as well as he did. I think it shows his maturity in terms of being able to stay locked in and stay ready when your number is called. Kind of reminds me when I got traded from Dallas Mavericks to the Washington Wizards, and I had to be there within 48 hours, and I remember landing in Washington, D.C. and having my suitcase roll across the court during warm-ups. And I met my teammates and met Coach Leonard Hamilton for the first time, and he asked me, can I dribble a basketball? Because we have a number of shooting guards. And I said, yes. And he says, okay, you're going to play point. And I played point guard and had to guard Vince Carter that night. So, didn't go very well, but, and so it just kind of reminds me of, I guess that professional mindset of staying locked in and staying ready. And when your number is called, you're called to perform.
Did you pick it up and notice the ovation he got when he went in? And it's kind of cool, even though been here 3 months, he's from another country and he's being embraced that way right away.
Well, he has embraced this place. From the first time that I spoke with him, the thing that jumped out to me the most was his burning desire to be here, obviously to play, to be a part of this program, but to be a part of this university and this community. And so, the ovation or the excitement of having him out there wasn't surprising to me. How much he's wanted to be here.
Just one more quick note on that, on Luka and the maturity that you mentioned. How much of that is maybe just intrinsic to him versus something that you see too in Henry and these other international guys that kind of have that common experience overseas?
I don't think there's a connection to international players or not. I just, as I said before, that just the maturity of of Luka or Henry, older players understanding that you never know when, where, how, in the manner in which your number is going to be called, but your job or responsibility is when. And I say when your number is called, you got to be ready to play. And those guys have been able to do it. Older and experienced guys know how to do it even better than younger players.
You mentioned your Dallas story about point guard. How much point guard do you see Luka playing eventually this season?
Well, again, I'm a positionless coach. I want guys that can do a number of things out there on the floor. I want as many ball handlers, playmakers out there on the floor. Obviously, he's one of those, but we've got a number of guys that can do that with Kine and Derek and Isaiah and Seth and a number of guys. And so he's one of those guys that can make plays, whether it's with the ball in his hands or he can make plays off the ball as well.
Hubert, I know I know that once the game starts, you start playing and things, get scrambled up and you're just playing basketball. But as you are looking at Kansas and trying to game plan for what you would like to do against them defensively, how does their size on the perimeter dictate or inform what you would like to do with your matchups? Again, I know you're switching and things happen, but how would you like to try to approach the size that they have on the perimeter? Because I think they're 6'6" and up, maybe.
Yeah, but we got some pretty good size too. And so,
True.
But they're they do have positional size. They're athletic. They can do a number of things on the floor, whether it's on the perimeter. Obviously, their ability to lob threats. They can put max pressure on the rim through penetration. They put you in situations where they can get space and isolation plays. They're great in transition. And so, their athleticism and length is real, and that's something that we'll have to match up with.
Hubert, when you go back and look at the opener, how would you evaluate the team's performance on the glass, and how important is that going to be in limiting second chance points for Badunga and ending those possessions?
Yeah, one of the things that we always talk about is making contact first, and another thing that I always tell the guys is, every player and every team, there's going to be a point where you reach a level, whether it's high school, college, or the NBA, if you're good enough, that you're going to reach a level and you're going to play a team that is just as gifted as you are. And so when you are matched up against a player or a team that is just as gifted as you are, the difference makers are going to be the little things. And so in regards to boxing out, making contact first, that guy can jump just as high as you, so you're not going to out jump him. You're going to have to be physical. When the ball goes up in the air, that's something that we've talked about and that we have to improve on. You mentioned against BYU, that was something that was concerning and glaring that when the ball went up in the air, even though we out-rebounded them, our ability to get those hard, tough physical rebounds. And so that's something that we're just gonna have to do tomorrow night, because as I said before, rebounding is the number one determining factor of outcome of a game. And so that, that has to be on point for us tomorrow night.
Hubert, I know the other day we talked about Henry, we talked about his double-double as well.
I know, I was really surprised that was his first. I mean, that one really, really shocked me. So I'm glad it happened.
Finally got himself one, and then
Yeah,
obviously,
that's
going into tomorrow, he has, Badonga, that's that guy, their guy in the middle. What do you kind of look forward to seeing from Henry in that matchup, and some of the key things you want him to, kind of take away from this game?
Yeah, Henry, obviously from a defensive standpoint, rebounding the basketball, but he also, with his length, he can block and he can alter shots. And so obviously they have, lob threat, rim threat. And so that's something that we've talked about, and we want to try to eliminate as much as possible. But, on the offensive end, Henry does a really good job of running the floor. He's a post presence for us, and that's real. We've talked at great length of how we want to dominate points in the paint. We want to throw the ball inside. And so just using Henry around the basket, but also his ability to pass on the perimeter and shoot from three. Hasn't shot a lot of threes, but just trying to find more opportunities for Henry pick and pop situations, because, that's a real gift of his, and that's something that we really need to utilize.
How do you feel Henry's presence there, being that 7-footer that, like you said, sometimes he'll do the pick and pop, or other times, pick and roll? How do you feel that he's maybe added another dynamic to your offense, if at all, this year?
No, it is. I mean, his versatility is real. I mean, again, he's a gifted passer. He can score around the basket. He's our best offensive rebounder, and he can really shoot from three. And so just encouraging him and also showing him opportunities out there, whether it's a half-court set or just in the flow of our freelance offense, to be able to utilize his ability to shoot the ball from the perimeter.
Hubert, it's really early in the season, obviously, but last year I think back to December, November, some of those quad one games you guys came just short of, and then it ended up haunting you later when you're talking about getting quad one resume and things like that. Does that creep in your mind a little bit? Just I know every game is big for you, but just an added sense of urgency to kind of get some of these resume wins early in the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an added sense of urgency for us to continue to improve and get better. One of the things that I've said this to you guys a number of times. I speak to the team, and I give them Proverbs 4:25: ignore all sideshow distractions, just keep your eyes straight ahead. And so, obviously winning big games is important, but the most important thing is to focus on what is real, and that for us is our preparation, our practice, and for us to play at the highest level that we can play tomorrow night. And at the end of the day, the results will take care of itself.
Hubert, for the freshman.
As you put together that non-conference schedule, how much did you factor in quad one opportunities, knowing that maybe the ACC wouldn't offer as many opportunities, last year it certainly didn't. When you're trying to put that non-conference schedule together and build a resume, how much thought went into how many quad ones we play, how many quad twos?
Yeah, I mean, well, you don't know who's a quad one or a quad two in the summertime. And so, one of the things that you do think about in terms of scheduling is, how many games, non-conference, do you have at home and on the road? And so, obviously for the ACC, SEC challenge, we're on the road, okay? And so, playing in a tournament in Fort Myers, Florida. And so those are factors that go into determining what kind of schedule we put together. But in terms of quad one, quad two, that's something that, one, is not something that I'm thinking about, because you have no idea what a quad one and a quad two will be during the summer.
Hubert, for a freshman, or for the freshmen on your team that are playing in a game like this, how do you balance wanting them to be amped up for the game, but also wanting them to take it all in and take a step back and play within themselves during the actual game?
I want them to be both. I want everybody to be both. I want them to be amped up, and it's not significant because of whom we're playing on Friday night. It doesn't matter who we play. I want them to be amped up. I always tell the guys, to play here, you have to play with emotion. I coach with emotion because I care about this place. And I say, when you're doing something that you love at a place that you love, and you're doing something that you love, if emotion's not coming out of you, then then you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. So I want them amped up, and when you're playing with emotion, they understand how to play within themselves and do the things that we practice and practice.
When you're scouting them, does the fact that they played a high-profile exhibition and you have an extra game to take out there, does that make any sort of tangible impact in the amount of information you feel like you have, or is it pretty negligible?
Well, I think that's a great question. I mean, obviously they played Louisville on the road, and you're able to see some tendencies or habits that they're, early in the season trying to identify, and the same for us when we played BYU. But I mean, irregardless of the opponent, Kansas is really good. They're extremely well coached. They're very athletic, versatile. Very good on the defensive end. They do a really nice job of getting steals and deflections. So we're gonna have to take care of the basketball, and offensively, their speed and their athleticism is real. And so, irregardless of who you play, that jumps off the page when you watch them.
Just on that note really quick, like the size, athleticism, and everything, you talk so much about positional size that your team has.
Yeah.
How does that, I guess, change maybe what goes into game prep when you're looking at certain kind of combinations, rotations that you can use to match up against a team like Kansas?
Yeah, again, we have some pretty good size and athleticism as well. So, and that gives us ability to, throughout the game, on both ends of the floor, determine some matchups or some concepts that could be favorable to us. But I mean, at the end of the day, I really believe it's all the little stuff. It's rebounding, it's defending without fouling, it's taking care of basketball, getting good shots, getting to the free throw line, making your free throws, getting second chance opportunities. So, we could talk about all the size and athleticism. We just go down to those things, and those will be the determining factor of the outcome of the game.
You have time for a couple more?
Hubert, what did you see from Kine that you liked on Monday, and how important is it to have kind of that primary ball handler heading into a big time matchup like Kansas?
Yeah, I thought he did a really nice job distributing the basketball. One of the things that he does really well is he pitches the ball ahead in transition. I always feel like that's the fastest way to transition from defense to offense, and just instinctively he's really looking to do that. And I thought he did a really nice job of that against Central Arkansas. I thought he was aggressive, whether it was shooting from three, getting in the lane, playing off 2 feet, making sound decisions. And so, obviously, look for him to continue to do that on Friday night.
Hey, Coach, speaking of Seth after the Central Arkansas game, he mentioned that he was looking forward to having to guard Darren Pearson tomorrow. How much pride does it take in those assignments, and how much does that energy set the tone for the team?
Yeah, one of the the great things about Kansas is Kansas. It's like North Carolina. It's not just about one person, and the reason why that they're a good team is because they have a collection of a number of really good players, and so it's never a one-on-one situation or battle. We have to do a great job defensively. We've got to get stops. We've got to finish those stops with a rebound, and then not allow us to get out in transition.
Hubert, going back to the freshman a minute ago, with what Caleb Wilson has already kind of done in preseason games, and even first game out here, do you feel like he's one of the most ready freshmen that you've coached for a big environment like this early on?
Well, he is ready, and he wants the spotlight. He's somebody that runs towards it. And yesterday at practice, he had over the last week, just a different look. So after practice, I pulled him aside and I said, Caleb, is everything okay? And he goes, Coach, I'm just really locked in. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But one of the things that really makes me feel comfortable as a coach is when you smile. So I said, you can be locked in, but you have to smile. Just look at me, just give me that smile, and then you can go back to being locked in. But I mean, he's somebody that, the attention to detail, I've mentioned before that he's always asking questions. As talented as he is, he's not somebody that thinks he knows everything. He's always willing to learn, and but he's one that runs towards the light, and he's really excited about playing on Friday.
That's one, Rod.
Hubert, you mentioned the BYU game. How much have you had to emphasize, re-emphasize physicality and where this needs
Every day, all day. Every day, all day. Every day, all day. It just is what it is. I mean, it's physicality really on both ends of the floor. obviously, defensive rebounding and making contact and, physicality on the ball, not letting guys just go where they want to go and set the screens that they want to screen, and not let teams run the offense that they run and shoot around, but also on the offensive end as well. That physicality, being able to catch the ball where we want to, the physicality to be able to dominate points in the paint, get the ball into the post, the physicality to get through screens and get through bumps to be able to get to the basket, the physicality to get to the offensive glass. Our offensive rebounding percentage was 38% the last game. That's not high enough. So physicality, that's the only way you can play the game. And it's something that we talk about at great length every day.
Coach, thank you. Thanks
Appreciate it.
everybody.